Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the show radio. It's episode 596 of the show. I'm your host, Andrew.
And I'm Danny.
And this is your source for tech, gaming, and entertainment news. Head over to theshowradio.info. Once again, that's theshowradio.info. And check out our past shows while you're there. Subscribe and tell a friend about the show. The show is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all the places that you can find podcasts. We are there. We also here. Definitely subscribe and like this channel. We'll be recording the podcast here as well as other tech and entertainment things. Daniela, what is going on with you?
It's my favorite month. Other than my birthday, but it's Halloween time. I'm a little bit late because like last year I put out like a little Halloween calendar of like horror movies to watch, but September went by so quickly that like I didn't get to do it. So I didn't post one. I have one that I'm doing. We're just watching movies. And I guess a couple of TV shows. We haven't started watching the Squid Game yet, which a lot of people are talking about, and I really, 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 really want to watch it. My son and his girlfriend. Really? You? Wow.
I started. It's good. Oh. It's really good.
I know it is really good. I have no doubts about that. Plus, you know, it's a foreign film or foreign TV show, so those are always so great. Like they have such a unique way of doing these horror, thriller, suspense that really you don't see in the US.
Yeah, it's more drama. It's more drama suspense though.
Well, I still want to watch it, but they do such a good
what I'm saying is like
they do it.
Yeah, it's I don't think, well, for what I feel right now, based on watching it, it doesn't feel like a horror film. It feels like a drama suspense thriller.
Oh no, I didn't expect it to be like a horror, but like something that's pretty like whoa. But I'm just saying,
I love it though.
Foreign TV shows, movies, they just have such a unique way that is very specific to each of those countries that the US really doesn't do. And what I get really tired of is like they remake this movie or this TV show to emulate that, and it's not the same. It never is. So like I think the last one that I heard about that they're trying to make a US remake of is Train to Busan. And I'm like, why? Why would you touch that?
They made a second one.
Great.
Yeah, they made a second one, and I didn't watch either because there's a lot there, a lot of zombies and all that stuff right around. I don't think that's for me, but it looks exciting. It looks exciting, and I know my wife enjoyed it when she watched Train to Busan, but I don't know. But that's a classic at this point, right? It's even though it's a couple of years old, I know a lot of people enjoyed that.
It's really good, and it's still highly recommended to a lot of people. If you haven't watched it yet, watch Train to Busan. But yeah, that's definitely on my list. My son already watched it all with his girlfriend. I'm waiting so I can watch it with my boyfriend, and having our schedules align is really difficult. But nothing too crazy. Today's Monday. 4th, so today was totally a Monday. Today was just like I woke up an hour late to work. I just like there's literally no excuse I had. I just texted.
No alarm clock. No alarm clock set.
I have 3 alarms set, and apparently I didn't hear it. My boyfriend didn't hear it. Like I heard nothing. So when I woke up, I was like, I have no excuse. I'm just gonna text work and be like, yo, I'm gonna be late. But the thing is, when I'm late, because most of the time it's usually me, I always bring a box of donuts. And it's always like, you can be late whenever you want.
So is that like tradition?
I'm making it a tradition now because I'm like, here's some donuts. I'm like, I'm not late on days where it super matters. Those days I'm like really super like, I mean, every day matters, yes. But there's some days that are
I'm glad you got there before I did.
Every day is important. But there's certain days where like the time and being on time, you have to be there. And today is not one of those days. I was like really lucky. I was like, yes, thank you. Thank you. But I did have to sit through a 2-hour meeting. And that was like, here's some donuts. I got to walk right back out the door because in 15 minutes, I got a 2-hour meeting. And it's funny because it's only scheduled for 30 minutes and then it turned into 2 hours. And we're like, why? And the only reason why it ended is that I was like, oh, I know I wasn't the only one, but you get like that crankiness of hunger. And then you're like, man, I'm hungry. I can't even focus anymore. I don't even want to talk to you people anymore. And I wasn't the person who said it, although I could totally feel it. And they're like, oh, it is almost 11 o'clock.
Was the 2 hours even
You're done.
necessary?
Yeah, it was actually. It was really productive.
Okay.
It was really productive. And it didn't feel like 2 hours. A lot of stuff was like covered and we got stuff done and a lot of things hashed out. It's just that when it came around there where you felt it, like your body knows, like there's no clocks in there. You don't have your phone. You have like, so time passes by and you don't even realize it. That's what this room is for. And yeah, we were like, man, it is hungry. I'm hungry. I'm really cranky right now. I don't even want to talk to people. I wasn't the person that said that. The person leading the meeting was doing it. And then they look and they like pop their head out the door. It is almost 11 o'clock. Get out of here. Let's go eat. And I'm like, yes. Do we have to come back? No, we're good. We're solid. We'll see you guys in like 3 weeks or whatever the next time is. I'm like, cool.
Hopefully not another 2-hour meeting after that, right?
No, I had a 2-hour lunch.
Okay.
Okay. It was 30 minutes of actual eating and lunch. And then it's like an hour and a half of where we had kind of a pseudo impromptu shop department meeting that was sprinkled with like family talk and then back to like work talk, then family talk. So there was a justification in there. But yeah, it was totally a Monday. I don't know. I'm just stoked because I got to put up my Halloween decorations around my cubicle, and I was really happy.
How fast are you going to do that?
What do you mean?
Because I know you love this. This is your month. I know you love this month.
I know. I don't want this month to go by so fast, but it's already the 4th, and I'm like,
it is.
Where did the first 3 days go?
It is.
Yeah,
it's moving.
I know. I know. This year is going pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, they say this is the time where the people who are invested in crypto get really happy because the chart goes up to the right in this quarter, fourth quarter. This is game time for the investors. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, well, on traditional stocks, I haven't liked looking at mine because mine is all in the red. And I'm like, sticking with it for the long haul. But I don't like
but that's
looking
good
at you.
if you want to buy more.
Not right now. Not right now. I don't, well,
Okay.
Personally, I don't have the extra cash at the moment. So
copy that. Okay.
If I did, then probably I would.
Okay. All right. Any other life stuff before we get into the other stuff?
No, almost all of my Halloween stuff is here so that I can have some nice Halloween streams and cosplay streams. I'm waiting on. I haven't told anyone publicly about what I'm doing, which is kind of nice and exciting. But like I haven't said anything. Like I did say I was going to come back to streaming, which it is, but I'm kind of waiting for those things.
I want to know if now don't share it here, but if you don't want to, but I want to know.
I can leave a teaser because nobody's going to know what I'm going to be making, but I'm waiting for 2 bald caps.
Okay.
That's all I'm waiting for right now.
Okay.
See, it gives away nothing because like a lot of things could use a bald cap.
Yeah. But okay. That's the teaser. That's it. That's what you're giving us.
Yep, that's all I'm giving.
Okay. All right, so let's jump into it. So episode 596. Welcome. Let's jump into it. So first things first, IGN. I was on there for the episode 513. I definitely want to say thank you, Ryan, for the opportunity to be on the platform to talk games on the IGN platform. Podcast Unlock episode 513. So if you check out that episode, I was on there with Ryan, Miranda, Stella, and we had a good show talking about Halo and Perfect Dark and some other things. So that was fun. I really had a good time. So Ryan, thank you so much for the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
How did you feel? Were you nervous?
I'm always nervous until it's time. So I think like we've talked about in the past, like I'm always nervous until it's time. Then I get into the zone, and it's game time, right? You know what you're supposed to do. You know what you're prepared to do. You have the notes in advance most of the time. Most of the shows give you like a day or two to look at the stuff that you're going to talk about. So I was pretty confident and prepared in what I was going to be discussing by way of the topics. But the ad lib moments you don't know because you're still learning the group. So typically, what I do with that is I watch a lot of shows. If I'm gonna be on the show for the first time and I've never watched a show before, I'll watch maybe 5 weeks worth of that particular show just to get like the vibe of the host, what they laugh at, what they don't, like when they're serious, when they're not. So just to kind of get that. And once I know what that is, then I know where I'm going to fit in that particular puzzle once the show starts. For Podcast Unlocked, it wasn't necessarily difficult because I would already watch it on a regular basis. So getting to the point where you're actually setting up to record, I was a little bit nervous about that, just trying to understand like how they did things. But once we started, I think everything was pretty smooth. So I'm usually nervous to some degree, but those nerves get passed because I've prepared.
So do they have their ritual technical problems before starting like we do?
Nope. No, they don't.
It's turning into a ritual for us.
No, they don't. But the thing is, I think but I think it's beautiful to see these things, right? Where on a platform like an IGN or Kind of Funny, or what have you, they have somebody that handles the stuff that we handle on top of being the host, on top of being the script writer, on top of being the on air, if you will, talent. They have a person or group for each of those things, right? I don't think that for some of these big shows, you're not going to have the producer be the same person as the on-air talent unless the producer happens to be a panelist for that particular show on that day. But they have somebody or a group separate for that. We don't, right? As indies, we don't. And I think that should give people who look at content that is produced well, that are indie versus like a big machine like IGN, with a level of appreciation like, hey, they're doing it with just 2-3 people, right? No producer. We're preparing the show. We're the on-air talent. We're trying to make sure we don't have audio issues, video issues. Then we have to edit and we have to cut and do that stuff. I'm not saying that Ryan doesn't do that. He may be part of that process, but I doubt that's the main thing that he's doing. As the executive editor of IGN for whatever he's in charge of, I don't think he's doing most of that stuff by himself. So that's another level, that's another layer, right, of team that is added on there versus an individual or a tag team, like you and I or anybody else who's in the indie side of things. We're doing most of that stuff. And then you have to figure out, well, how are you going to market it? How are you going to post it on YouTube, or which clip made a difference for you to post that on a social platform, right? So there's a lot of things that you're thinking about that most big machines like your Game Informers, like your IGNs, and believe me, I love them because I read their stuff. Eurogamer, you can go down the list, VGC, like all these major publications, they have a big team for that stuff, right? So it gives you a different level of appreciation for this is where I would like to be, based on a production value, even if it's a small team. Like we look at games that had like a 20 team and they did a big, beautiful game like your Senua's Sacrifice or something like that, small team, big game, right? So even if you have a small team, you can still do a beautiful production. But it takes time to master, the cog and the wheel for that particular thing. But I mean, overall, I think that it's good to be on platforms like that. It gives you, number one, visibility that you didn't have before, right? Other people are checking out your stuff now, that they weren't doing that before. And you just have a different appreciation for someone like Ryan who doesn't have to do this, right? And he's taken the time to highlight some individuals in the community of the gaming space. So, I mean,
which is
I'm
awesome.
grateful for that. Yeah, definitely grateful for that.
And you also had another big announcement too.
Yeah, so this one has been years in the coming, and I've always wanted to create, some merch. We've talked about this in the past. We've had this design, just by way of backdrop for those who listen to the show. We've had this design for almost the whole year, right? And it was just trying to decide when the drop was going to happen. And as I started learning that the IGN thing was going to happen, I'm like, I might as well just make the announcement there for the Underdog merch, because it's a design that I wanted that everybody can partake in. So I didn't want to have words on it, but I still wanted to tell a story based on the design, right? So Underdog merch is out. I'll have links in the description below. I did announce that at Podcast Unlocked, episode 513. And yeah, so we're excited about it. We're definitely going to be doing pictures and stuff like that on IG. So if you do buy the merch, which I hope you do, and I hope you enjoy it, it's hashtag Underdog on IG, so I can take a look at some of the things that you're posting, or even that on Twitter as well. But it's exciting to have it out now. It's no longer a secret. Now, I'm already working on the next one, which I'll share with you, the next design. And the way I'm thinking about the designs right now is not so much my name on it, right? Which I talked to you about in the past. I want it to be something that, whether you knew who we are or not, you can still identify with what you're wearing. And if the design, for whatever it is, even if it's just for a particular group, whatever that group is, skateboarders or surfers or whatever, even if the design was highlighting a particular group for, I just decided to just do a doodle of something like that and just say, hey, can you draw this out for me? That design will speak to a group, and that group will be larger than just the gaming community. And I think that's the focus. That's the vision behind the designs that we have. Is they will cross over different communities, and they're always going to promote an idea that is either going to encourage, mostly encourage, but also share the struggle or whatever it is. And I already have another design that I'm working on that speaks to that. And it's gonna cost some money. That's the part. That's the part that we don't really talk about. It's costing some money to do these things, but I think that they're worth the cost to have it designed and put out. So Underdog merch is out now. Links in the description below, and I hope you guys and gals enjoy the design.
I didn't share that with anybody. When you showed me it, Was that really earlier this year? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He said it was secret. I told nobody. I didn't even tell my boyfriend. I showed nobody.
Listen, and which
give me a secret. You tell me nobody can know.
That's the level of trust that I need.
Or not.
That's the level of trust that I need. So I appreciate that. But I've known for a long time that I could trust you in a lot of things, and we've talked about a lot of things personally, professionally, and things of that nature. So me sharing that with you, I knew that once I mentioned where it needed to stay, that would not be an issue at all. So I wasn't necessarily concerned about that. But having it out still feels like it's something that people will, start hearing a lot more about. But I want to add more designs that speak to those dualities of things. Not necessarily yin yang kind of thing, but enough to have a tug of war of a particular thing, or speak to a particular community. Yeah. So the next one is already I drew it last night. Okay. I sent the sketch already to Black Oni. Okay. So this is something that's already in motion. I'll definitely share that picture with you today. And but once you see it, you'll understand. You'll understand because the world that it involves, you're already in. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
And
then follow me on Twitter, Miss DJM. I'll give you guys all of the leaks. I'll tell you all the secrets.
No secrets. No secrets. But yeah,
no
this one's gonna be fun. This one's gonna be fun. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I don't know. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in the car and I'm looking at hoodie designs now. Like I'm watching videos and I'm like, oh, I could do something with that, right? So it's like this is expensive. Okay, this is getting expensive. The design process is getting expensive because I'm seeing different designs on hoodies. I'm watching, different games, sports games and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Let's see if we can incorporate, and then then I start sketching and stuff like that. It's madness, but at any rate,
it's inspiration. You should nurture it, and you should feed it when you get it.
It is. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I just want people to like feel great about what they're wearing. You know what I mean? Like it's not so much. And when did I become a designer? I don't even know what's going on with me right now. But I just want that when you put the design on, it speaks to your experiences as well, right? And when I see it, I could understand what you've gone through. It's almost like it's not a design thing per se. Depending on the year of BMWs, they have oil leaks. Anybody who has a certain year of BMWs, they identify that at some point they had to fix that oil leak situation for that particular car or model. And depending on some other cars, it may be an electricity issue. And then if you have that car, that community of that car, they know that that's a pain point for them that they have to overcome. The designs are going to speak to things like that, where it's something that you're going to identify with, either overcoming a struggle or encouraging and something like that. And I think that speaks volumes to the designs that I'm considering right now.
I'm so stoked for you. I can see the excitement in your eyes.
So it's a lot going on, but there's way more going on with New World. Daniela, give me all the impressions. I'm not playing it. This is all you. Talk to us about New World.
The TLDR of it right now, which I'll expand on, but just the TLDR of it right now. It's okay. On a scale, on a 5-star scale, a 3. So
out of what?
Now expanding onto 3 out of 5.
Okay.
On a 5-star scale, it's a 3. Let's see. It came out on the 29th, so last week Thursday, I believe it was. And It was Q simulator hell. That's what that's it was really, really bad considering
What kind
this
of
is
game is
coming
it?
from
I'm still
Amazon.
trying
It's
to
an MMO.
understand it. Okay.
It's an MMO. So that's basically what it is that you end up, abandoned, shipwrecked. You start off with nothing, and then you explore these lands and you get gear. You have your kind of your different classes and abilities. You level up, you get 3 different factions. It has the basis of what pretty much any MMO has. Um Trying to exclude anything of all my other past experiences before this game launched out of this because it has grown from where it originally was from the alpha build like 5 years ago to right now. Huge night and day. If that game was anywhere close to what it was offering like even 2 years ago, no, it really wouldn't. It would have tanked day 1. But really, this New World is being was created and built by Amazon Game Studios, which in the past, if you've been listening to us for a long time, uh, I really do love Amazon Game Studios from their first, I think this is their third game that they've attempted to launch. So far, this one is sticking. That doesn't mean that's saying a lot. So their first game was Breakaway. I still love that game. I'm still heartbroken about it. One of their issues was their weird marketing. Um, their they listened. I feel like they listened to the community way too much. Not enough betas and play tests that went on to really fine tune what this game could have been. And then you had Crucible. Crucible came out, which was a 4v4. I think I
I
can't even
really like
remember
that
anymore.
game. I liked
Um,
it.
it was a decent shooter. Um, but even then, like that was probably they released it and then they quickly like took it back. So sorry, okay, sorry, bam, canceled it. And now they have New World, which is their MMO. Which is definitely their overhaul, their marketing, and everything that they went going into this was like it was pretty on point. Like I was even shocked when they showed the trailer. I think it was 2019. Like it's funny because I'm like, wow, this is New World, okay. Um, and I feel okay for when it launched, their server issues. I This is Amazon we're talking about here. There are so many other platforms and services that uses Amazon servers. Like it is their cloud service that they use from Amazon and it's super reliable. It's like it has I don't remember what it is. I don't have exact statistics about how often their servers are online service, no problems. I don't have those, but I know that you don't really hear about, Amazon servers is crap or this or my service is unreliable. You don't really hear about any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think coming in launch day that they would have more than enough servers for as much interest as that they grew of people
Mm-hmm.
excited. I mean, even with their delays and their announcement of their delays, um, people were still pumped. They were like, okay, it was 3 days till it's gonna launch. Okay, now we're at 32 days. It's okay. I'm so excited. I can't wait to play. They had people so pumped up to play for it. And so you would think when it launches, they wouldn't have such a huge issue. No, it was Q Simulator Hill. I think I didn't play the first night. I think I played the second night. Like the first night, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. So I tried the second night. I think I was still in a queue. I want to say, I think my queue was at 1700 something,
What kept
and
you
I
playing?
was there for 2.5 hours. What do you mean?
What kept you playing? What kept you turning it back on?
Well, I only have 20 hours in the game. 20 hours since launch. So I don't know. I can't say like what kept me playing, and I can't tell you how much of those are actual playable hours. Because the first time I launched in, it took almost 3 hours for me to get into a game. So that reduces my actual playtime to 17 hours already from right there. Well, to be exact, I have 21.2 hours of game time. But game time also consists of any time that you're sitting in the menu, sitting in queue. It doesn't mean you're actually necessarily playing it. You just have the
sitting
game
in the menu
up.
takes up some of your time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was that. The story is bland. But I knew that already going into it. So obviously I'm not playing it for the story. So don't expect some really thought out lore in this game. Is it sprinkled out like any other typical MMO where you can pick up little pages from a book and you can read in about it? Yeah, there is. But there's nothing that's really investing you into it. Like, don't expect something on a Final Fantasy 14 level or Final Fantasy level period. You're not gonna get that type of storytelling. Are they trying to? Yes, they are. Is it that good? Not right now. But you know what? When Final Fantasy 14 originally released, it really wasn't this giant powerhouse that it is now. That's where A Realm Reborn came from. Was that okay? So our vanilla 1.0 wasn't so good. Let's retry start telling the story and let's like give it a little bit of a oomph. And that's where people started to fall in love with it, become invested in it. So to say that right now for what it is, the story isn't that good doesn't mean that possibly maybe later on it will be. But I already knew that from the beginning, so I wasn't expecting much from it. For me, the class systems, I mean, you kind of have that in there. I mean, it's based off of where you're gonna put your points, and you have like your strength, you got your focus, you got your intelligence. You have those five. You know, there's five different standards, and that will also um, tell you how well you can use different weapons in there. So like strength, you're going to be your axes, your hammers, your swords, your rapiers. You have like intelligence where it's really your magic. So you have the fire staff, you have the ice staff, you have the gauntlets. You've got like focus. So if you want to be a healer, which is basically the life staff, you're gonna put points in that based off how you want to play it. All the gearing, it's your typical like that you will see in MMOs. You're not going to see anything super special. They have different stats. You can craft stuff, you can gather, you can buy housing. Those really, really typical normal MMOs. And what keeps me coming back to play for it to why I even want to play with it was for me personally, um, I really need to give Amazon games a chance because the first two games that I invested myself into and I really loved, they got taken away. And
But you
I
have
am a
given them a
little bit
chance.
jaded. No, I'm giving them a chance on a game that I really personally. How much of this can I say? I really personally didn't find myself invested to in the alphas.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that I super enjoyed. And the people that I was playing with, the people that I did all the other alpha testing, technical tests, um, over the years, kind of felt the same way. Like I don't really want a MMO. um, I kind of wanted an action game to play with friends. I wanted something that was PvP. Which this game does have a PvP, which I was supposed to be a part of a war today, but I got kicked out because I'm not a high enough level, which I totally understand that, which I can dive into that later. But really it's just to relax. I know I'm kind of talking about a lot of negatives about this game, but where it does shine and what it does really well is that when you load up into this game, when you do, it's actually a really beautiful, lush area for you to actually get into. The population really is, I think right now they're capped at 2,250 per server. And they've
Okay.
expanded and opened it up to more servers. That number could actually be 2.5K. But anyways, it's just above 2K. So I'm playing on NA West, El Dorado, which is a high population server. So my queue times is a little bit worse. Lately, in the last couple of days, maybe 20 minutes. Not too bad. That's fine. Not a big of deal. If I gotta wait 2 to 3 hours every single time, no, I'm not. Amazon, you gotta do something about that one. You gotta, either add more servers or increase the population. Do something because that is too ridiculous. There are lower popular servers that you can get in pretty quick. That's not too bad, but some people have to also sacrifice that. It might not be the best choice for their location, but right now there's a current good variety. So I think if you want to give it a
There's a
chance.
recurring theme here when it comes to the Amazon stuff. And it
They look
usually
beautiful.
revolves. That's true. That's true. They are. But the other part is the fact that servers seems to be an issue.
Yeah. And I don't
That
know why.
right, that they haven't addressed in the last, let's say the last game, Crucible, right? I don't know if it was an issue for the game
Breakaway? Yes, it was.
Breakaway. Right. So there's a running theme here with server challenges on the Amazon side. I don't know why we're still here with that. I don't know if it's a cloud hybrid thing that they're running for their games or whatever. But yeah, I just keep hearing that.
You mean in 6 years in the making here? Yeah, maybe. Maybe they should address it at some point. Maybe they will. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I'm trying to talk about the positive stuff with this stuff. I'm
Yeah,
trying
give
to.
us
I really,
positives
really
and then
am.
we'll move. Give us
Um,
positives and then we'll move.
Uh, there's no monthly subscription. So majority of MMOs out there do have a monthly subscription. Like I still pay for my Final Fantasy 14, which I think with my retainers, my monthly subs, I think it comes out to $14 a month. This one is a solid one-time payment. There's no at this moment monthly subs. So I think the base game is $40 with the deluxe edition I think is 50 or 60. Um which the one thing that they did do nice is that I did have this game pre-ordered in October of 2016.
Okay.
So at that time it was free. That time they were going to have that game free. And they honored that. They honored the here's your game and here's another game. So I gave the extra key to my boyfriend to play. But yeah, it's still to have an MMO with that much that looks that good. Um, $40 really isn't that bad. That's actually really doable. There is some in-game purchases. That's nothing different. Other MMOs have that as well too, so that you shouldn't be surprised about it. You're paying $40 for something that hopefully has a lot of DLC, a lot of expanded content on it. Um, Obviously, some of those DLCs are going to be paid DLCs. I wouldn't expect any less. Um, I think for what it is, and I mentioned it a lot is that it has the basics of an MMO. I think if you are new to that genre, this is a great entry level to it. It is great for really teaching you like the basic like core and skeleton of what all MMOs have.
Okay.
It doesn't overwhelm you. It's really not overwhelming about how it explains and what you can do and your different quests. They do have 3 different factions that you can choose from, which isn't other games have different ways of handling that, but for this one, so you have your syndicate, which is what I chose. Their storyline is based off of like finding through science, finding the truth. Think of like Plague Doctor, think of magic. Not that, that they're just solely about that. You're gonna have your tanks and your DPS and your healers all into up there. It also can be, you can choose it if you don't gravitate towards the story of what they're trying to tell you, and you just try gravitating towards the look of each of the gear that is provided by these factions, and go with that. So there's Syndicate, there's Covenant. Covenant, they're more of the religious types, praising and wanting to be the light. Then you have Marauders, which they just don't care about either which way or not. They just want to fight and raid, and they all have different looks to it. I wouldn't say the gears are too different as far as stats. I don't feel that either faction has gear that's specifically better for, one type heavily more than the others. So mine was based off of just looks. For my server, there's a lot more covenants than there are syndicates. The biggest thing about them is that, so you have these different towns or areas that can be controlled by the different factions. And so, like I was saying, I was kicked out of a war. So there's one where if one of the clans can put one of these areas to war, you sign up for it. They organize about who's fighting in what groups, and then there's a specific time that you have to be online, and then you're battling out over these different forts or these different areas to claim it, and then it's that factions for a certain time. And the purpose of that being is that if your faction is in control of it, then you get some little benefits. You can pay less taxes, less crafting fees, you can access your storage. So it adds a nice PvP element of it. Do you have to participate in it? No, but if you want to help your faction out, you should. The reason why I was kicked out is,
go ahead.
What's up? No, the reason why I was kicked out of the war is that, which I totally understand, is I'm only a level 19. I'm like a hair away from making 20. Where there's some people who have, I don't know what's up, but they put enough time in to be like level 45 plus that signed up for this war. So I totally understand being kicked out of it, to fill in for somebody who is better geared and equipped to participate. So I don't take that personal. That's like a smart strategic thing. And then you show up to the area, and then you guys duke it out, and hopefully you win. And then obviously you have your clans, or in Final Fantasy they call it free companies, and you guys can group up and help each other out. I am the other type of MMO player. I just want to chop down trees, gather berries, and kill animals so that I can craft things. And that's kind of all I want to do.
Is Conan an MMO?
Conan Exile?
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily consider it an MMO.
What would it be considered?
I don't know. I don't play it, but I wouldn't consider it an MMO.
Okay. I don't know why I'm thinking Conan when I'm thinking about this.
It is a survival game, which follows under like Rust.
Okay. Okay. So have you played Conan?
No.
Okay.
I
haven't either. I haven't either. I'm just thinking out loud here.
People.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'm just thinking out loud here. Based on what you saw with Conan, have you seen some Conan, right?
Yeah.
Would you play more of that than this, or what game is like this New World that you would play? Would you play New World more than? Give me some games in this category. I can't even think of any MMOs right now.
I'd play New World more than WoW, but I don't like WoW.
Okay, you don't
the
like
only
WoW.
other
Okay,
game
cool.
that I would play, like the only thing that I would want to go back to, is Final Fantasy 14.
Okay, copy. Okay, all right, cool. Overall, 3 out of 5.
Yeah, And the biggest selling point is because I think it is a great entry level MMO for a lot of people. I notice a lot of people who typically stream shooters have been playing a lot of New World. Now,
I did see that.
how much of that is because, it's part of the marketing, they're sponsored or it's an ad. I don't know. But
Right.
the fact is, like, some of them are starting to reach the end of it and they're still really heavily invested. They have these plans scheduled out and they're really super enjoying it, which I think is great. And that's kind of what has me coming back to it. It's not because like I'm new to that genre, or that I don't want to play Final Fantasy, because right now all it really does is encourage me to go back to 14 and play that again. Is that I've been playing it with my boyfriend, which we don't have a whole lot of games in common, and he's finding joy out of it in his own way, playing how he wants, which is more of a tank DPS. And I'm like, okay, I'll just follow you with my little healing staff and we'll go through and do this. And I'm just going to gather. And all I want to do is just make furniture,
Mm.
which, if the furniture in this game really plays a huge role, I personally don't think it is at this moment for the different houses. But I don't know anybody who bought a house yet. But I do know that I unlocked a lot of furniture that I can make, and I know that for my level, my crafting and gathering levels are pretty up there. Although my fishing
Mm.
level is rather low at a very measly 5. I'm not
Mm.
fishing as much as I thought I would. And that's the thing. That's what's great about MMOs is that you can truly play it how you find enjoyment out of it. It's not really linear. The quests are severely lacking. The quests are a little bit boring. But for me, I just find joy out of just relaxing, gathering, mining, and just like go back crafting. Like, does anybody want my stuff? Because I'm not that useful in real world. I can't build a chair. But in a game I
Cool.
can. And you can give me like 500 gold for it. Sure.
Cool. Final thoughts?
I'm probably gonna still stick with playing it for a bit. I'm not pushing for end game stuff really. I mean, I want to be able to enjoy it with people and just relax. It is a great way to just kind of pass time. Um, I I kind of enjoy the music. It's like, well, not specifically just theirs, but I think MMO music has this very calming effect. And it really is a great stress reliever. So if that's something that you're looking forward to, um, and you kind of want to try out an MMO for $40, I know that price point sounds a little bit high. To give a game a try, if you get it, on Steam, you can try it out for a couple hours. Hopefully, just choose a low populated server so you don't use your trial period time, so that you can return it. But there's no subscription fees. It's a great, learning to be in there and just to relax. So
Okay. Cool,
there you
cool,
go.
cool. Thank you, thank you. So guys, definitely make sure you like, subscribe as you are enjoying this content. We just went over New World impressions, and the next thing that we have is Twitch's new verification tool. Daniela, what are your thoughts on Twitch's new verification tool?
It's a step in the right direction, and
Okay.
I'm happy that they're doing something. It gives a good option. I'm glad it's there. I like the verification, so you can do it through email, you can do it through phone number, mobile phone number. You can't do a landline. Um, so I think it's a really good start, and I hope it helps a lot of people. Here's the thing that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. So this has been around for a very, very long time, and everybody knows this. Everybody knows that you can have multiple accounts tied to a single email. Why do people have multiple accounts? Like, I don't personally, and I understand that. I know there's some people that are like, oh, I do it as a meme account so that I can joke around with my favorite streamer. That type of joking completely goes over my head. But it doesn't mean that's just any like for anybody. It's just for me personally. Like if somebody makes a meme account so they can joke around with me and just have this throwaway account that I jokingly ban from their stuff, like that seems so annoying. Really does seem annoying. So with this one is it kind of defeats and stops people. Like even if you're joking about it and your streamer is in on this joke, your account, even if one of your accounts is banned, then all of them that are tied to that email or that phone number is banned. That's awesome. That prevents people from making trolling accounts and coming back and ban invasions and whatnot. So I think that's great. I saw some people on Twitter. I'm like, well, one of my accounts was banned. I don't know which one it was. I guess I can't watch my favorite streamer. I'm like,
that's one out of however many accounts that you have, right? So
I think you can have up to 5.
That's
tied
crazy.
to one. That's always found it just weird to me. That's just weird. But that's my personal opinion on that one. I can kind of try to understand why people do it if their streamer is in on it. I know why people do it for malicious reasons, but to say you're doing it as a joke, I guess that's just not my kind of humor.
Okay, so tied in with this, we'll definitely toss in the. Well, I'll just mention it here. Twitch will let users pay to advertise their favorite streamers. Okay, so as far as the verification tool for me, it is what it is. If you're adding layers of security, I think that's always a great thing. So those are my thoughts on there. But Twitch will let viewers pay to advertise their favorite streamers. So what's your take on that?
Kind of side with majority of others where it's just like this cash grab. Would I necessarily label it a pay to win? I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily give it that label. But yeah, 100% a cash grab because back in December, they were testing out this feature, but you use this feature by spending the channel points that you used are accumulated by watching your favorite streamers, which encourages people to stick around and watch their streamers because if they want to support them and they don't have the money to support them, that was a great free way to do it for them. And I thought that was great then. But to add
did that go away?
Yeah, they replaced it with this. You can't use your channel points, you spend money.
Got it. Okay.
So it didn't go away. They just kind of, all right, so we did our beta test and this went great with channel points. Now we're just going to have you pay for it.
Interesting.
And for me personally, I wouldn't recommend anybody pay extra money for it. I mean, it's your money. You're going to spend it how you want to spend it. And if you feel good about spending that money to boost your favorite streamers in that way, go for it. That's awesome. If it makes you feel good and that's what you want and that's the way that you want to support, then awesome. I personally think that money that you're going to spend for this, like, yeah, you want your favorite streamer to get the recognition, to be seen, to get new viewers. I just don't like this method that they're going with. I think using the channel points is great. So I'd rather, and I would encourage for me or anybody else, or for me who I'm going to spend on anybody, go give that money directly to your streamer. Give that money directly to your streamer. They can use that money to hopefully one day they can, afford to pay for editors. If they can't afford or don't have the time or get frustrated editing their own videos, their own clips to put on top of things, if they can hire somebody regularly to create highlight clips, montages, or whatever it may be, so that they can advertise themselves on other platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Right. Give that money directly to your content creator. Give it Venmo, Cash App, Coffee, Fan House, whatever it is that they have. I'd rather give that support to them than to Twitch. I'd rather them have as much of that money instead of them having to share 50% or whatever it is, or none of it, and it goes to Twitch's pocket. Because there is a better... So if I take my first example of them being able to hire an editor, even if it's for photo edits that they're going to put on like a photographer or somebody to edit photos that they took with their phone so that it looks like it was done by like, you know, a professional, for them to share on any of their other platforms, that will last longer than whatever window of fame that Twitch is going to give them for a short time period on their front page. That will give them something to use for other ventures to improve on top of their content. I'd rather give them that longer standing than here's 10 minutes. Here's this little short window of fame. Because I feel like the audience that they can pull in from other platforms and to have content on those other platforms serves them better.
Yeah, it's do you still believe in Twitch?
I've been actually kind of sitting there on that fence for a little while now, because I want it, like, if I do or I don't. Because I don't... I wanted to start streaming come back to streaming last week. And then I'm like sitting there and I'm like updating my stuff and making sure everything is right. I don't know if I want to be on Twitch. And then when I sat there and really thought about it, is this really the platform for me? Because that's the same thing I tell like a lot of people. You choose a platform that fits right for you. My personality type, which is a long-standing thing about me, is like, it's not like I'm afraid of change. It's more of just you can call it a personality flaw. I have no clue. I have this weird thing about product loyalty. And so like XSplit. A lot of people ask me, why do you use XSplit? You have to pay for it. OBS is free. Slobs is free. There's other things that you can do that you don't have to pay for. XSplit was the very first thing I ever used. And that was when it was in beta. That was free. And it did everything I wanted. And I loved it. And I loved the way that it worked. So I stuck with it. I have a lifetime subscription, so I don't really care about what the price was. I got a really great deal on my lifetime subscription. It was like $60, and I'm good until 2100 something. Well past me being dead. So I'm not worried about it. But to this day, I will still stick with XSplit because I love what they did. Sony products. My very first digital camera was a Sony camera. I don't remember which one. My very first, I bought a Sony digital Walkman. I like a lot of my products that I love. I will gravitate towards Sony because it's always done what I wanted to do. I'm always happy with it. That's probably also why it's my preferred console. Same thing with building a PC. Why do you stick with Intel when you can do AMD? Never had a problem. I don't have a reason to change. So now I'm here with Twitch. Twitch that I've created my account in 2011. I've had for so long, and I've never, I've ventured out and tried other different things, but I always came back to Twitch because I loved what they did. In the last year and a half, 2 years, even though I haven't been regularly streaming, I cannot say with confidence that I love where they have gone and what they have done. Their statements and their words do not match the actions that they do. It does not align. Like you're saying these things. I understand it takes time for things to roll out. I understand, change doesn't happen overnight. But so many of these issues isn't like they came up overnight. It was a buildup over years and people bringing it up. And now more people are bringing it up because now more than ever, because of COVID, there's so much more content creators, so much more people. So there's so much more voices. They're having to deal with all of this BS, voicing that. And it's like, dude, it's nothing new. It's always been there. You just didn't want to listen because your money makers weren't bringing it up. What is 1,000
Why would they?
Content creators who bring in, let's just say 20 or less viewers, and it's just 1,000 content creators? That's nowhere to compare to one who brings in like 50,000 viewers, But you have 1,000 people who are upset, who are dealing with crap every day, bringing it up. You pretty much haven't done anything. And that 1,000 is a very small pool because there's so much more people who are having to deal with stuff. Did I? No. But it doesn't mean that I'm not angry for those other people. It doesn't mean that those other people's concerns don't mean anything. So for me to sit here and to say, like, I don't know what I'm personally supporting. Like I feel like for me, it's like kind of like a moral dilemma of like, okay, I've been using you. I've had my account here for 10 years now. If I use your product just because I've been here for 10 years, I feel like in some indirect way, I'm saying it's okay that you're taking your sweet ass time to do nothing. And then it doesn't feel right. But I don't know where I want to call home yet. Are there other possible prospects? Yes. And I look
what are
at
the
them.
options?
Yes. YouTube or Glimish. I'm going more towards Glimish. There is another one that was kind of announced that also got a lot of hate really quickly on before they even got to get their feet on the ground, which is Altair. Altair is built from, he is one of the founders, is a Filipino Twitch partner who understands he wants to build a platform that has your mental health as, one of the bigger pictures of it is that concern. So, they mention things about not showing your viewer numbers or their stats, and that there's not going to be really so much like your partner. So you're not like constantly grinding for something, but you're doing something for joy. And at the moment, they were looking money for investors. And then a lot of people took that as like, oh, I'm paying to reserve my name. No, that's one of the benefits of you deciding to invest into it, but you're not necessarily like, you don't have to. You don't have to pay for it. You can just see where it goes. Right now, they're looking for investors because these things do not start off, with no pocket money.
You need money,
especially when you want to build something so big. Like, you need money for to do those things. Glimish is one of those things where it is community built. A lot of people are doing this, out of pocket, on their time, on their own time, and it's a group of people who had this vision, and they're working towards this thing. And Altair took another step and like, okay, we can hire people and pay people to create the platform that we want, but we need that money. Glimish took it of is here's a group of programmers who have this image, so let's work together. So it's like two different aspects. Altair is still way out there, and they got a lot of angry stuff, and a lot of people are like, so how are you going to prevent this, and how are you going to do this? Which are very good questions to be asking, but for something that is still being drawn up and thought out, the fact that they're asking and looking for investors, to me, says like they're not at a point to start planning how they can implement these things fully. Do they have have their core bullet points? This is what we wanted to do, but we don't have the money to pay the developers yet to start building out something and how we can do that going forward. But a lot of people are like, well, you don't have the answers for me. Why I'm going to give money? Because you see a vision.
So let's go back to where we were with Twitch. Do you foresee yourself making the adjustment off of to another platform soon, or do you see yourself returning to Twitch and then going from there and making a decision, and then we'll go to the next stuff that we have?
A mixture of both. I see myself doing both. Like I will have some streams that are on Twitch and some streams that are on whatever platform that I choose. But I most definitely do not see Twitch being the sole platform for everything.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I think that YouTube is a fantastic option for individuals who are starting to stream for the first time. That's not necessarily your case because you've been streaming for a long time now. As you mentioned, you created your account since 2011. So you've been around this space for a long time. But for individuals who are starting to create content for the first time, I think that YouTube provide such a great foundation, and especially if you're considering discovery, if you name your stuff properly, add timestamps to your descriptions, add a description, right? Add some tags if tags matter. So things like that. Hashtags may bring your stuff, so there's different things that you can do. It's more work, and of course a thumbnail that you'd want to click on, right? If you don't even want to click on a thumbnail, why would anybody else want to? So there's a little bit more involved with the YouTube platform, but I think that it's a great framework for any other platform. If you can understand how YouTube works and take advantage of what it offers, you can pretty much build something anywhere. So those are some quick thoughts there. Next I want to talk about is the Game Awards return in December. I've enjoyed watching the Game Awards the last couple of years. Danielle, thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's on my bucket list to be able to go to one live. Like, you have no idea. It's on my bucket list.
Right. Absolutely.
Is that going to be like a first big event that's going to be open and public?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been cons, I guess. Yeah.
There's some local stuff in New York, but I can't go. So I'm trying to see if I could still connect with the companies. But no, go ahead.
I always look forward to the Game Awards, though. He does such a great job at putting them on. I'm just saying. I mean, if he didn't do a good job at doing the Game Awards, do you think we'd have allowed or entertained him with the Summer Games Fest? Just saying.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good at what he does, and his history of games is pretty impressive too. Very, very intelligent. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to the Game Awards. Love watching it. There's a lot of good stuff that happens during that particular thing for the Game Awards. I just love everything about it, and just being able to capture some of these moments and just enjoy gaming and even announcements that happen on the platforms, I think is really fantastic as well. So there's that.
Where do we apply
Sony
so that
ads.
we can co-stream it? That's where I want to know. I want to be able to co-stream it. Where's a special place to apply for that? Because
You
I
want to do
noticed
that?
that's been a thing. I do. I
You want to
do.
do
I
that this
will
year?
request off from work. Yes, I would like to co-stream it.
Okay.
But I noticed that a lot of these
Let's.
things now you have to apply for it and get approved for it. Like, does that mean that other people who are just doing it just to do it, they're not allowed to? Or is it just because you're just going to be labeled as, an official co-streamer of
Your
the
name
award?
your name might not get called out because you're not, you know, an official co-streamer for that particular event, right? Outside of that, um, I mean, I don't see, like you said, there's a lot of individuals who stream it anyway because they just want to be part of that experience. But yeah,
Well, I
let's
saw a
see what
lot of people
happens.
who normally do. I saw a lot of people who
Right.
normally do co-streams over the past years, but because of that weird stipulation, they weren't sure if they're allowed to, if there's something special other than having your name as being one of the official co-streamers, or is it this one of those things that they're going to be randomly striked against for showing off stuff?
Yeah,
I have no clue.
I don't think there were any penalties like from what I saw in regards to that because um especially with the gaming stuff at this point, right? People still want to feel that they're part of the experience, even if they're just doing a stream for their community or whether they apply for the co-streaming or didn't apply, they still want to be part of that, you know. So I don't think that the Jeff Keighley team comes down on individuals um, like that, you know, by way of penalties for individuals who wanted to be part of that experience. Not that I've seen. Maybe there's stories that are, you know, out there in regards to that, but
I
I
haven't
haven't
seen
heard
any.
anything about that. Yeah. So that's what's up with that. Next thing we have is Sony adds game trials to PS5. Thoughts on that?
That needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. So there's only currently 2 games that are available, which is Sackboy and Death Stranding. Um, but like the timer counts from the time you start downloading, which I don't think that's not cool at all. It 100% isn't. There's some games that take hours to download, and you're gonna tell me like for Death Stranding, like I think it says 6 hours that if I have to download it and it takes 3 hours because my internet isn't great or whatever it may be, 3 hours of my game time is done, which for me, I can understand like 6 hours as a game trial is it's plenty of time for a game like Death Stranding. Um, I don't think every game needs that, but for you to really know if that's the type of game that's for you, that's a good amount of hours. If you're only getting like 2 or 3 hours of being able to experience it, I don't know. It should be a cumulative of actual playtime, like you are in the game, you're loaded up, it is playable. Um, so I think they got to change that, and I think right now it's currently only available in the UK. So hopefully, that changes. But I like the option. I like the idea of
That's
it.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I love game trials, game demos, tech previews, flights, whatever you call them. I love it all. If I enjoy the game or I enjoy the genre, I'll definitely check it out. I do not have a PlayStation 5, but things that pop up on Steam, whether it's Capcom saying that they're going to be focusing on PC stuff,
You're so
I had to
happy.
throw that in there because we didn't have it in there. So I had to find a place to throw it in there, right? But I'm excited for that stuff, for Steam stuff, and yeah, PC. I'm really excited for the PC stuff. I definitely want to talk about real quick a product that I was checking out. It was announced on the 4th. This is going up on the 5th, hopefully. So the Victrix game controller, which is a modular controller. You can take out the thumbsticks, you can take out the D-pad, that kind of vibe. You have 5 different positions on the triggers. It is a Xbox controller as well as a PC controller. I'm going to have a link for the impressions. I'm going to link it in this video. So you see that pop up somewhere. But the Vitrix controller is pretty fantastic. It is coined the fastest Xbox controller on the market by way of when you press the button and the reaction on the screen. based on the testing that they've done, the independent testing that they've done, this is the fastest controller that can pretty much register once you press the button versus with what you see on the screen, which is like 2 milliseconds or something like that, versus the other systems, versus the other controllers that are 4 milliseconds or higher. So that's pretty impressive on that. So that video link that video is live. That link will be going up in this video. And they also sent over their headset, the Victrix headset. I chose the PlayStation version. I'll be working on an unboxing for that as well, and links to follow on the channel. Now, any thoughts? Anything that you want to? Any questions, thoughts, or anything?
So is it going to be replacing your standard Xbox controller from now on? Like, how does the feel, the size, the weight of it compare to the original or the Elite?
It's really good. I mean, it's so it feels lighter than the Elite. I love. Okay, so the difference. So the thumbsticks are lighter. Okay. And what that means to me is they're trying to figure out a way to prevent the stick drift situation from happening really early. So the lighter the actual thumbstick, the less pressure is going to add to the stem, right, over time, right? So that was really cool. The fact that the back of the controller, you can either have 2 buttons or 4 buttons for the back buttons, which is pretty neat. I like that. I like the fact that there's 5 points in the triggers. That's pretty cool. It has already replaced my main controllers that I've used. I would love to see them make a PlayStation version as well in the future, I guess, if it's received well. So definitely watch the video, comment on it, share your thoughts about it. And this was a 2-year project that they brought to the market, and it is a fantastic controller. It is a fantastic controller. I can't even tell the difference outside of. So let me just think about this for a second. I could tell the difference on the design that I'm holding, right? But at this point, it's not really about if it's an Xbox controller or if it's a PlayStation controller. It's more about, does it meet the requirements for what I'm using it for, right? On screen, right? So for me, by default, it's PC now. So the fact that it's an Xbox and PC controller, that meets that automatically. But does it meet when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to, when it's game time, when you're doing your 1v1 or whatever the case might be? Does it perform to that level? And the answer is yes, right? And that's what you're looking for. Any controller that is either a SCUF controller, a Astro C40, this controller here, the Gambit, the Victrix Gambit controller, whether it's the Xbox controller, Elite, or whatever the controller is that we use these days, right? PlayStation controller, which I still believe the PlayStation 4, by way of just a standard controller, is a fantastic controller for the fighting game community stuff. And if you like the side-by-side, the symmetrical thumbsticks, it's an awesome controller for that as well. And it's a PC controller as well. So it's really, at this point, is there's so many different controllers. Does it meet what you're looking for in the game and the platform? If the answer is yes, then it is. Now, if you're talking about speed response of you pressing a button and then having it register on the screen, they're saying that they are the fastest controller, Xbox controller, that does that with independent testing. Now, if that is what it is, then we can't even argue that, right? But if it's still meeting your needs by way of the app that you have to do your configurations, swapping the sticks, back and forth, if that meets that, if all those things are there for you, and I think that is definitely something to consider. And it could be any controller that provides that particular value. These days, though, and I'll say this and then I'll wrap. These days, though, it's modular is becoming the default. It's becoming the standard. So if you're creating a controller and we can't swap anything, I don't know. People will forget about that really quick. I mean, let me know your thoughts on that part. I just see it as becoming the standard. Thoughts on that, and then we'll move on.
I think it's definitely for the competitive type. Yeah, that's a huge thing. For me, I don't want to say that I'm casual gamer. Casual controller,
I don't think
maybe.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not a huge thing for me. I mean, I just admitted that I love gathering. I don't need a response time on that. I just need to be able to click the button and it does its animation. But I think for the competitive type, whether it be for a fighting game or a shooter, those types of customization, those types of response, those types of setups is super important. That's really what makes and breaks the game for certain people. Is just having just that little bit of an edge. Even if if by studies this thing is 2 millisecond response time before you see the action on your screen compared to 4 milliseconds or whatever it may be, that 2 millisecond difference is huge. It really is. I mean, there's a reason why people play on like 1 millisecond monitors. I
Monitors
mean,
and stuff.
it's
Right.
you don't think about it, but you notice it, especially on that competitive front. It really does matter. For me, I'm cool. I love the controllers that I get, with my console. I really love my PS5 controller. But I'm not a competitive person. I
Yeah.
like puzzle games. I like to kick back. That's just not me. So maybe that controller might not necessarily be for me, but it's definitely something I think I wholeheartedly agree with. Is just that when you want to be competitive, you want that edge. Having a modular, easily swappable controller is kind of a no brainer to me, at least that I think.
Right. Right. That's what it is. And I think that what's allowing that to even happen, to be that fast, is the dual core technology that they have within that particular framework of the controller. So definitely check it out. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm really, really happy with it. I love controllers. So if you have a controller that you want us to check out, please feel free to hit us up. Our links by way of social media and stuff will be in the description. I know we love checking out those things whenever they show up as an opportunity for sure. So thank you, Vitrix, for sending that. I really do appreciate it. So definitely wanted to add that. Definitely check out the link for that in the description, as well as somewhere up here. We'll throw that up there. So next thing that we have, SIE announced that it purchased Bluepoint Games, the Texas-based studio behind various games like Demon Souls, et cetera, et cetera. Thoughts on that? And then we have a couple more things, and then we'll begin wrapping up the show.
I don't know what my thoughts are. I feel a certain way about certain acquisitions by bigger companies.
Okay.
I'm glad for the studios that do get picked up for them. I'm even more happy when they're indie studios to have a bigger publisher, bigger developer be interested enough in you to hey, we want to add you to our team. I guess this is good. I mean, I don't have anything to say. Demon Souls definitely isn't my type of game, but
All right.
I mean, who am I to complain about this right now? I don't
I mean, I
see
think I
any
think
wrong
it's
in it.
good. I think that when a company is either preserving or making sure that they have teams on hand ready to do things for the next generation of PS5, whatever it is, I think that's a good thing. I know we saw major acquisitions with Xbox earlier this year, right? That happened this year, right?
Yeah.
Big acquisition, right? And I think that when companies find different ways to work together, especially if they were friends before they combine forces, right, and they do the major Voltron things that they do, I think that's a cool thing. The only thing I don't like is when you see certain things like that happen, and people tend to lose their job, or they can no longer work within the certain frameworks that they were before, because their job uh, title, if you will, no longer exists with certain mergers and things of that nature. That part we don't like to see. We don't like to see anybody lose an opportunity or lose their job as they're moving forward and things of that nature. So as long as that's not happening, but it's making sure that we're seeing things move forward for the better for not only the developers, their families, and the studio and stuff like that, but also for the individuals who enjoy the games. Us, we love these games, right? So for me, as long as those things can find a way to work, I'm good.
And yeah, and that's a big thing. Is just that obviously I think when it comes down to it, Sony and Microsoft are going to acquire what they can, what they feel will diversify their portfolio, their libraries, their content or games that they come out with to please their consumers and to make sure like, hey, we have the better AAA exclusives here because we have this studio and this studio who is now all just whatever we are, we're Microsoft or PlayStation. I think sometimes my concern is like you're saying, it's just that they don't change the heart of what the original studio was, and that they're still able to create the games that that studio, whatever studio may be, is known for. Um, and it doesn't matter how big or how small that studio may be. That I think that's like my biggest concern is in just seeing that and how I always feel like, yeah, I hope you don't force them to just like have this Sony or this Microsoft mentality and changing kind of what they're doing and what they already found success for themselves as their own studio has found. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thing. That's why I kind of always feel like a certain weird way, like it's good, but I don't know.
Right. It's
They
just
can
it's
if
just
they
one of
can
those
allow
things.
that team yeah, if they can allow that team to still create the games that they love, that's a big thing too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next one is Konami is set to revive Metal Gear. I don't know if that's a rumor, if that's completely true, but if that is the case, I'm pretty excited about that because I love Metal Gear. Would love to see more of that for sure. And it also says here Castlevania and Silent Hill. Thoughts on that?
Can they? Can they? I mean, yeah, I mean, yes, they obviously they can go back and reboot or remaster or revive whatever series they may want. Will it be as good? I don't know. I really don't know. Am I a little bit
I mean,
nervous
that's a
about them
that's a
touching about
classic.
those games? Yeah, of course I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm like, yeah, some of the stuff that you've had, maybe. Is it gonna get people excited and pumped? Yeah, but they're also gonna be like, well, what is Konami without Hideo-san? I guess we're
Absolutely.
gonna find out.
We're going to find out at some point if they decide to do that. So yeah, so looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that. Metal Gear is a super classic, and we all love Metal Gear. The cutscenes, just the box, all the fun stuff that Metal Gear brought to us over the years by way of memories. So let's see what else they do with that particular series. Last but not least, and then we will get out of here. Battlefield 2042 early access that begins October 6th. If you pre-order the game, and hopefully they open that up later for individuals who did not pre-order the game yet. Battlefield 2042, I'm pretty excited about. I really enjoyed Battlefield 1942. Also played Battlefield 4. Didn't play 5. Didn't play 1. But I'm excited for 2042 because it looks like it's going back to basics of what we enjoyed about Battlefield. Daniela, any thoughts on that?
You will not see me playing it. The shooter phase, that is not where I'm at in my gaming mentality at the moment. It isn't. Right now, I've been just craving puzzles, horror, and apparently a lot of gathering, a lot of farming. Where's the MMO where I just farm with people? We can each have our own plots of farms and we can have faction battles of who can. You know what? I want to farm, and I don't even know farming terminologies.
You know, you want to like prepare the ground and then plant the seeds and then water them, watch them grow. I don't know if that's the terminology either, but
like bring me an Animal Crossing MMO. There, that's where I'll be.
Absolutely. So on that note, we're going to wrap, guys. Thank you for watching episode 596 of the show radio. I really do appreciate it. Please make sure you like, subscribe. Definitely check out Daniela at Miss DJM on Twitter and Twitch for now. Okay. Definitely make sure you check me out, Uriah, URIYYA, on Twitter. Really do appreciate that. Daniela?
Thank you guys for downloading, checking us out, watching it wherever you may be in your favorite podcatchers or video streaming service. We appreciate you being here. And until next time, stay safe and have fun.